So, these are those who took the membership classes and have signed their membership certificate saying that they would like to become members of the body of Christ here at Grace Church. I don't have to preach this morning because this sermon preaches itself. So they're each going to come up here, they're going to state their name, and they're going to tell you why they decided to be a member of Grace Church. So whoever wants to start. We'll start over here and just work our way down. Oh, wait, did Caroline raise her hand? Okay, Caroline, we'll start on this side.
Hey. I'll take it. Crowd favorite. Let's do it. All right. Hello. My name is Caroline Wilson, in case you didn't know. I am sure you've heard me say this before. I've been attending Grace off and on for about 8 years, but we started attending regularly last year. And in that time, I have grown closer to God than I could have ever imagined. My faith has grown, and I credit Grace for helping me to build a stronger relationship with God. The worship, the people, and especially the sermons have truly changed my heart. And not just my heart, but my family. I've seen the ministries here at work and how they've made such a powerful impact on my kids. From the preschool, which I hear is pretty great. Best of York 2023. To the Smalls program, to Bible Blast, to Big. Grace is helping grow our kids into disciples for God. And I couldn't be more grateful for that. I believe in the mission, the vision, and the values of Grace Church. And I'm committed to Grace and to continue to make and mature and mobilize disciples for God. God bless you all.
There's your certificate. Thank you. All right. Next. State your name.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Rivers. I just want to point out that I hate public speaking, and I will get up and sing at any point, but I hate to talk. So Dave and I have been coming for about a year regularly. We were really searching for a new home for a church, and I can tell you that from the first moment that we came here, we really felt like we belonged. I feel like we've just been welcomed. I've been able to be a part of the worship team. Everyone has just opened their arms very welcomely and taken us in. And I'm just very thankful for this church. I'm thankful for the worship. I'm thankful for that God's word is preached every single Sunday. There's no fluff, excluding all the sports references, but that's it. So, are they now? So, yes, I'm just very grateful that we're here, and I'm thankful for this family. So, thanks. That's it.
Good morning. It's a privilege to stand before you this morning. Dennis and I and our son Bailey have been attending here at Grace for about a year and a half now. And what an exciting year and a half it has been as guests coming in and seeing you guys in the middle of the disaffiliation and the saving grace. I mean to tell you, it was so inspiring to see your love for the Lord and your love for His church put into action through your faith and believing that He was going to do something wonderful. I love that you guys stood for the truth of the Word of God, and thank you so much for being so welcoming and friendly to us. That is a large part of the reason why we stuck around. Thank you for inviting us to ministries. Thank you for inviting us to lunch. You guys have no idea how much those things mean to people new in a church trying to make connections. Pastor, thank you for standing for the word. Thank you for just preaching the truth every Sunday to us. We love that Grace values children and young people, even by bringing them up and making them a part of the service every Sunday. That is something that just blessed us so much from the very beginning, all the ministry to young people. And thank you for your love for your community and how you reach out and you are, very mindful of the community as well. So it is a privilege this morning to become a member at Grace Church because we want to commit our time and the gifts that the Lord has given us to serve Him here and to move His kingdom forward here with you.
My name is Dennis Dorisoff, and what a blessing this church has to have a pastor that preaches the word as he does. That is the most important thing, and we so appreciate you, Pastor Jeff. The thing that made us want to be part of the church was you, observing you, watching from the first time we were here, how you greeted us, and seeing the passion that you had for the ministries here and your love for one another. That was contagious. That was something that we wanted to be a part of, and we're honored to be part of it. We love you.
Good morning. My name is Trista Glace, and I have been attending this church for about a year now. A year prior to that, I was really looking for a new church that I could call home, and I attended many different churches every Sunday morning, different churches, just looking for somewhere. And this church is such a wonderful place, a place for me to grow, a place that has helped me grow in my love for God and in my faith in general. And I'm just so thankful for the church and the community that I feel in the church. It just really does feel like home. And I'm so excited to be able to serve here and to call it my home now. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, Miss Ruth.
Actually, my name is Betty Ruth Riley, and but I go by Ruth. I came here because the church that I belonged to before just started doing things that I just could not stand. They did not, to me, reflect on Jesus. So I had to leave there, and it was like God told me to go, and I went, and then I had to find a new church. So I came up here and asked a few people, and guess what? They sent me here. So my first day I came, it was so different, but so good that I just could not almost believe that, hey, this is the one that I'm going to stay with. Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Dave Rivers. I'm the larger half of Cheryl, and I thought we were supposed to speak the truth. Sorry. So we've been I feel blessed to have just since the moment that we actually walked through the doors. It's evident that God is here, and you can see that through the worship. I mean, it's just so inspiring. As so many others have actually indicated as well, that the preaching is just incredible. And to hear God's word every Sunday, and a pastor that's just so energetic and at times decibel-breaking is really amazing as well. But just have felt just really blessed to actually be part of this, and really thankful that we have a church home that we want to come to every chance we can. So thank you for allowing us to become members. So.
You're next, sir.
Good morning. My name's Ron Reinhardt. The reason I attending and coming here, actually, I was ducking in and out for about a year, checking out whenever I could possibly get here. And the major reason why I want to be here is because you took a stand. In a day and age of not many things things are falling apart, there's time to take a stand. And being a background of being Methodist, at least in name, I was saved in Forest Hill in spite of the Methodist Church. Well, I'll quickly say it was 1976, 77, and we were part of the church. My goal in life was, when I was young, the pastor put his hand on my shoulder and said, "You be a good little boy, and you'll go to heaven." Well, I took that to heart. And for 27 years, that's what I worked for. And guess what? It was beneficial because I never got in trouble. But in the church, it was Center Methodist, Forest Hill, there came a move. And it was the move of the charismatic movement. All of a sudden, everybody was talking about being born again. Never heard about being born again. What is that all about? And the church was, of course, split. Some said, "Don't let them touch you," but my wife and I we love both sides, and we were at a Bible study, and that happened to be this part that didn't want any part of the born again stuff, but nevertheless, they were going towards transcendental meditation. And for some reason, I believe with all my heart, it was God. They had a testimony for the first time I heard in my life. Keith Green gave his testimony of how he was born again and saved. That night, 1977, March, in the second floor of my home, I got down on my knees, repeated the words of Keith Green. I said, "God, if you're real, if you're out there, forgive my sins that come within me. I believe you died for me. I believe you rose again from the dead." That instant, from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, the Holy Spirit came in me. And the next day, although I was a very shy person and would never get up in front of anyone, the next day we had at church Joys and Concerns. And I stood up and gave my testimony to the whole church. And from then on, God gave me a hunger for the Word of God. And as I studied, then the Lord said, "Be baptized." And the pastor said, "You can't do that. You'll denounce your christening." I said, "Well, I'll give you." That was June. "I'll give you to September. If the Lord still wants me to be baptized, I'll get someone else to do it." So I found a born-again Methodist pastor who baptized me in a Baptist church. Went on. We had to leave that church to a Bible-believing church. And we were taught the Word of God, taught to evangelize, let me tell you, being a Christian is the most exciting life you can ever have. We've been street meetings at Baltimore. We've been in missions to Germany, to Mexico, Brazil. God, it's exciting. So now I want to serve here. Amen.
Awesome.
I'm not as talkative as he is.
Tell them why you want to be a member.
Hi, my name is Chris Reinhardt, and late last summer, I began to really get hungry to work more for the Lord. To the world, I'm old and I'm crippled, and there isn't much for me to do, but I knew Jesus had something for me to do. And as we began to seek the Lord, he opened up our hearts and told us it was time to leave our previous church because he had something for us to do, and he led us to Grace. And not only did I find a loving, accepting family, a couple weeks after we came here, Pastor spoke on how this church has a heart for the local. And my heart is for my Jerusalem, my Judea, and my Samaria, which is my community, my family, and my friends. And I'm excited now to see what God's going to do here with me for my community, because I love Jesus, and I want people to know what he can do in their lives.
Amen. There you go. Is it safe to give you the microphone, Tim? Okay.
Good morning. Okay. I'm usually loud. That's why I thought maybe you wanted me to keep it down here. Okay. Approximately 13 months ago, I attended Grace from an invitation from Judy. And I was going through a difficult time for approximately 5 years. My wife had passed away and had a great deal of grief, and I wasn't feeling comfort and love where I was going to worship. And Judy invited me here, and you folks at Grace have been just terrific. You know, you show your love for God and you show your love for other people, and it means so much. You gave me the comfort that I needed. I am educated through your word and the teachings here, and the worship teams and everything are just, the love is within this place. You come in and you're filled with the Holy Spirit, and it is here. And the truth of the word is here. And I'm so thankful to be a part of everything here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, we're going to hit the back row before we hit the rest of them. So come on, Ural. Got like 5 minutes max, all right? I'm going to take that.
Well, every time I come in the door here, I feel humbled and grateful and thankful. And I prayed that God would guide me to a church where I could contribute and be blessed and serve. And I think Dennis said it very well with the preaching and the feeling you get here. And Pastor Jeff said some people come to church and tell him how great he preaches and he never sees them again. Well, he's going to see me for a long time. Every time I walk through the door, like I said, I'm humbled, I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and the power is here, and God's timing is always wonderful, and he brought me here. I'm so glad to be here, and I hope I can serve enough to please him. I just want to contribute whatever I can to this wonderful movement of God here. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. You two want to do this together? No? Oh, yes?
Hi, I'm Kathy Peterson. Prior to coming to Grace, my husband Dave and I attended a Methodist church in York. I grew up there from the time I was an infant, and a lot of unethical things happened there, and we were really hurt. My parents were very angry because we left the church, I guess for the church kind of driving us away. And it was a very difficult time for us. And we began to search for a church. And after going through many doors, it was not a fun time. We finally came to Grace. And just because of our experience prior to that, we decided we would never join another United Methodist Church. So I got involved in a women's Bible study, and eventually we became involved in different ministries. I was a part of the body of Christ, but I wasn't a member here. And when it came time for the disaffiliation vote, I didn't have a say because I wasn't a member. And I know church membership is a gift, and part of that gift is having a say in the body of Christ. So when the disaffiliation took place, I decided it was time to make that commitment and officially become a member. After all, we've been attending Grace regularly since October 2005. So I'm glad that God led us to Grace almost 19 years ago, because I had religion before that, but I found a relation with my Jesus here.
Morning, Grace Church. God is good. All the time. My name is David Peterson. My church life started in 1975 at the Methodist Church in York, where I married my lovely bride, Kathy. Ta-da! We went there a few years, 30 years to be exact. We're kind of slow. When turmoil arose in the church, like Kathy said, I know, it's a bunch of Christian peoples can't get along. It's a shame. But that's when the Lord told us to shake the dust off our sandals and move on. That was a very tough thing to do. That's when Kathy and I started looking for a church hopping experience. I don't know how many churches we went through, a few. But we came through those doors one Sunday morning, and who was there? Randy Jenkins. So we came through the second set of doors. Who did we meet? Peggy Jenkins. Now, that girl can give a hug. That's like somebody handing you a warm chocolate chip cookie. So if you've never received a hug from that lady, line up at the end of the service. So after a couple more visits here, we decided, we had a chat, and said, this is the place that the Lord wants us to be. So we settled in and started our healing, with our spiritual journey, healing. Fast forward to today, I'd like to join Grace Church Shrewsbury so we can unite with all of you spread God's invitation and relationship with Him and follow His biblical word. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, good morning. I have been given 5 seconds. Ditto. I'm sorry. Hi, I'm Pamela Hiller, and I really only have been attending Grace for 6 months. And I've been a church hopper for 10 years because I could not find a church that was like my old church. And it just had to at least, be a church family that I could join, because family is the most important thing. And if you don't have it in your church, well, you're not going to grow, and there's not going to be any love. And when I walked through the door, and I saw this church, because I only know 2 ways in and out to my house, because I'm from Maryland, and I still don't know the roads. But I saw this church, and I was like, I haven't been to that one. And so I came up here on a Sunday and was hugged by Walt and then by Randy. And I was like, well, this can't be bad. You walk through the doors. And I was just greeted by so many people with smiling faces. And, that doesn't happen. A lot of churches ignore you, and they're in their own little thing or whatever. But I sat down, and Pastor Jeff wasn't here, and another gentleman, preached that Sunday, and I was like, he's not bad. But I didn't. Another church, another Sunday. But then I love. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Honest. No. He's when you're having a little bit of a headache. Great day, So I left, and I'm like, I'm off for Sunday school or Bible study, or I'm really not sure what you call it. But John Bodie has that class, and I went into that class, and not only, that was my first Sunday, and I found such a caring, compassionate, small, loving group, and that continued the word. And I left, and I went home, and I said to my husband, I think I found the church. I think I found it. But I asked John Bodie, I said, I'm really looking for a pastor with some fire. Some fire in his stomach, some fire in his soul, and can really, when I leave, I remember the message. And he said, well, have you met Pastor Jeff? And I was like, I don't know who Pastor Jeff is until the following Sunday. And then I was like, hallelujah. I have found home. And I have not, I have a lot of medical problems. Sometimes it keeps me from getting out. But I hate to miss church. And when I belong to a church, I belong to a church. It is my home, and everyone in it is important to me. And I want to grow with the church. I want to be there for the church, and I want to be there for each and every one in the church and do my part the best I can. And I just was so happy to have finally found home. And I thank everyone who has been so kind to me. And when you walk up to somebody and you think you know them, and you're telling them your problem, and you don't even know them, and they're just as kind and beautiful as Kate was that day to me. And I thought she was someone else. But, yeah. But I made a new friend. But I just want to know, I want you to know that there's so much here that made me want to come back. And when you can't wait till next Sunday and you don't want to leave church, you know you're where you belong. So thank you for having me.
I'm Debbie Copenhaver, and we've been here for about 2.5 years, waiting for the disaffiliation to be able to join. One thing that struck me first thing this morning, I had something to share, but Pastor said that in Revelation, Jesus is outside knocking on the church. Aren't you glad he's in this church? He's not outside. He's in here. And so, for me, I'm just excited to be a part of a church again. It's been a while, and I just want to join and serve and grow in the Lord again. So, I didn't read the instructions very well. It was supposed to be a testimony of why you wanted to join the church. Well, I have a little bit of a testimony. I have a 3-point sermon, which is really, really short. It's short. And it's 3 words, and it's recognition, receive, and relationship. And so in 1981, I recognized who Jesus was and who he is in my life, and that his death on the cross was personal. He died for me. Even if there was no one else, he would have died for me. And that's personal. And so that evening, when I accepted Christ, I received that gift when I heard the gospel preached. And I can tell you, I'd been in churches for most of my life. So at that point, I was probably close to 30. And I received the gift that he wants to give to each one of us. And I began a relationship with him that evening, that night. I tried and tried before that to read the Bible. I couldn't comprehend anything. I would get angry at him because he could read it. And I was like, how can you read that? How can you read that? That night when Jesus saved me, he opened my eyes to the Word of God. It was just blind, and now you can see. And so every day will be a journey. And I'm just excited to be in a church that's alive, because too many of them today, you walk in the door, and I told my friend the other day, those great big mega churches, and they're working for the Lord in their own way. But I call them Christians Anonymous, because you can walk in the door, sit in the service, and walk out the door, and not one person will talk to you. And you can be anonymous. And I will give you one scripture, Psalm 115:11. You who fear the Lord, trust in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. And it's unnatural to trust someone that you're afraid of. And I was reminded that fearing the Lord really doesn't mean to be afraid. It means reverence, it means respect, and love. And I just want to trust God. And in this world today, that's what we need, is to trust the Lord.
You got a sermon too?
Yes.
Awesome.
My name is Earl Copenhaver. That was my wife, Deb. Don't be alarmed by how I begin, because I do assure you this will just be a few minutes. But I was born in 19... I told you, I warned you. I was born in 1949 in Baltimore. And 32 years later, I was born again in Baltimore at a Billy Graham crusade, which was being held at Memorial Stadium, and that was June of 1981. And I heard the Lord knock that night, and I invited him in. And that was just days before our 7th wedding anniversary. And in 3 months, God willing, we will celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary. During those 50 years, we have lived in 13 different homes in 5 states, and we owned 7 of those homes and rented 6. And when purchasing those homes that we owned, we took the time to inspect them and also relied on a paid inspector. But one of the basic things you want to look at when purchasing a home is its foundation. You want to make sure that the foundation is stable. And if it was unstable, we would usually, of course, pass on that house. With every move that we made over these 50 years, we connected to communities that we lived in, and that was through a local church. And with every church that we joined, we first checked its foundation, its beliefs, its values, its missions, its goals. And when in the Bible, when Jesus asked Peter, "Who do you say that I am?" and he acknowledged, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus said, as part of his reply, "On this rock I will build my church." And Jesus Christ is that rock. He is that foundation. 2.5 years ago, we moved back home here from North Carolina. And once again, we asked God, prayed, please lead us to a church that you could, where we could serve and worship and learn. And our good friends, unfortunately they're not here today, but Larry and Dottie Sturmer, Larry invited us here to Grace. And so we came, and as soon as we came in, after that first or second Sunday, we recognized that Jesus Christ is the foundation here at Grace Church Shrewsbury. His Spirit is here. His Spirit is evident in the lives of our pastors, in the lives of our leaders, and in the friendly people in your lives as well. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Gentiles in the book of Ephesians, he said to them, "You are no longer foreigners and aliens, but fellow citizens with God's people and members of God's household, built on the foundation of the apostles and prophets, with Christ Jesus himself as the chief cornerstone." So I want to join, my wife and I want to join you here as members of God's household, and we want to worship, we want to have fellowship, we want to grow in our faith, and we want to serve as God leads us. Thank you. Thank you.
So we have one more, and that is a video testimony coming from Miss Dixie Hudson.
Hi, Grace Church. I'm Dixie Hudson, and I'm becoming a member today at Grace. I'm so excited for the opportunity. I know my son Colton is the main reason we're here. He started attending Bible Blast in Big many years ago, and he loved it so much that when we were looking for a new home church, this was the first place we thought of. We've been attending for 2 years, and this is where we want to call home.
Awesome. All right, so before we wrap this up, if you are a church leader, if you serve on the church council, I'm going to ask you to stand. You don't have to come up front. You can just stand, okay? We've got Pastor Peter Mayer. We've got Miss Bev Kearney. We've got Mr. John Bodie. We got Mr. Jim Starr. Mr. Devin Shannon up in the booth. All right, that's who's represented today. I'm getting there. You can't miss that guy, Mr. Travis Lambert in the back. Mr. Greg Martell is in the nursery. And who else is missing today? Miss Karen Thompson is sick, and she's at home. But I just want you guys to give a kind of approval here, because as the council, you are part of approving the members. So it says, standing before you are candidates for membership into the body of Grace Church Shrewsbury. I give you my word as a minister of the gospel, but by their profession of faith as a disciple of Jesus Christ, and after being thoroughly tested and examined. Yeah, that's what we did for the last 3 weeks. Have met all requirements and are worthy candidates for membership. If you will receive them as members, say, we will. Very good. Thank you. Have a seat. Hold on. So some people ask, what is it that we did during those 3 weeks? And a lot of it was teaching on what membership means. And they read a book called I Am a Church Member, which has been a book that I've used for membership now for probably 5 or 6 years, that I believe, written by Tom Rainer, and one of the great books that you'll ever find on what church membership is. There's a covenant in there that explains it very well. And so I'm going to have them come up. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 volunteers to read a different section, and I have it up here. So if you would like to do it, Miss Caroline, come on up. You want to go first. 1 section, 2 sections, 3 sections, 4 sections. And you guys can it's also on the inside of your certificate as well, so you can follow along there.
I'm reading 4 sections.
You're reading
The first section. Okay, all right. You know I like a microphone. Okay. I am a church member. I like the metaphor of membership. It's not membership as in civic organization or a country club. It's the kind of membership given to us in 1 Corinthians 12. Now you are the body of Christ and the individual members of it.
I will be a functioning member. Because I am a member of the body of Christ, I must be a functioning member, whether I am an eye, an ear, or a hand. As a functioning member, I will give, I will serve, I will minister, I will evangelize, I will study. I will seek to be a blessing to others. I will remember that if one member suffers, all the members suffer with it. If one member is honored, all the members rejoice with it.
I will seek to be a source of unity in the church. I know there will be no perfect pastors, staff, or other church members, but neither am I. I will not be a source of gossip or dissension. One of the greatest contributions I can make is to do all I can in God's power to keep the church in unity for the sake of the gospel.
I will not let church be about my preferences and desires. That is self-serving. I am in this church to serve others and to serve Christ, my Savior, who went to the cross for me. I can deal with any inconveniences and matters that are just not my preference or style.
Their work is never ending. Oh, I'm sorry. I will pray for my pastor every day. He needs it.
It's a part of the covenant.
But it's true. It's true. Their work is never ending. Their days are filled with constant demands for their time, with the need to prepare sermons, with those who are rejoicing in births, with those who are traveling through the valley of the shadow of death, with critics, with the hurts and hopes of others, and with the need to be a spouse and a parent. My pastor cannot serve our church in their own power. I will pray for God's strength for them and their family every day. Amen.
I will lead my family to be good
members of this church. We will pray together for our church. We will worship together in our church. We will serve together in our church. And we will ask Christ to help us fall deeper in love with this church because he gave his life for her.
This membership is a gift. When I received the free gift of salvation through Jesus Christ, I became a part of the body of Christ, and now I am humbled and honored to serve and to love others in our church. I pray that I will never take my membership for granted, but see it as a gift and an opportunity to serve others and to be a part of something so much greater than any one person or member.
Thank you. And then everybody together for that last line. 1, 2, 3. Say it like you really mean it. I want to hear it loud. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.